folks. Welcome to the webinar today, Small Business Certifications for Government Contracting, presented by our Procurement Technical Assistance Center specialists, Marie Mishker and Greg Grant. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. My name is Allie Stevens with the Florida SBDC at UNF. In case you're unfamiliar with us and the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, or PTAC as we call it, we are part of statewide network, and our mission is to help your small businesses start, grow, and succeed. So the Florida PTAC procurement specialists provide high-value confidential consulting at no cost to help small and medium for-profit businesses located in Florida research and bid on government contracts for the Department of Defense and other federal agencies, state and local agencies, and prime contractors. All of our contact info will be in the chat box and in the follow-up email that's going to be sent out after the end of the webinar. So if you're interested in following up with either Marie or Greg for a follow-up no-cost appointment or to find more training, you will be able to do so with those links. Quick housekeeping. Today's session is being recorded, and the link to the recording will be sent out in that email I mentioned. There's also a survey that will pop up after we close the webinar. If you guys could please just take a minute and complete that survey, especially as we're possibly getting back into live events here in the fall or next year. We really want to make sure we are providing what you guys are asking for. So let us know your feedback in that evaluation. We appreciate it. And if you have any questions throughout the presentation today, there is a question section on your control panel. Open that and then type your questions in there, and we will address them at the end of the presentation. So without any further ado, I am going to hand it over to our first presenter, Greg Grant. Go ahead and take it away. Oh, you're muted, Greg.
All right, can everyone hear me now?
There we go.
All right. All right, well, I want to thank you, Allie, and thank you everyone for attending today's Government Contracting Small Business Certifications. Just a real 30-second snippet about me. I actually owned my own business, and I was able to obtain some of these certifications that we're going to talk about today. Not only did I obtain some of them, but I also was able to leverage them to grow my business when I was an entrepreneur as well. So I'm going to be sharing some of that knowledge with you today, share some of those tidbits with you today. I'm going to focus primarily on local government and state government certifications, and Marie will focus on the federal certifications. So we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, so when it comes to local government, what I want to really point out here is in local government, we're basically talking about certifications that consist of things you can bid on here in Jacksonville, Florida, and also some of the surrounding counties as well. So, so just understand that when we say city or local government, we're talking about county opportunities or city opportunities. When we talk about state government certifications, we are talking about opportunities that exist within the state of Florida. One of the primary reasons for getting certifications, and I wanted to make sure that we establish this foundation early, is to have the opportunity to gain set-aside contracts for the actual certification you obtain. So if you're looking to get the Minority Business Enterprise, or you're getting DBE or any of these certifications, the primary reason that we get them is so we can bid on set-aside contracts. Not only that, but it also will increase your access to government contract opportunities. And that's very important, because oftentimes I consult business owners who want to get certifications here in the city of Jacksonville as well as the state, but don't have a real plan in how they're going to use those certifications. And that's something that I really hope to convey today, not only how to get them, but how do we use them and why do we use them? Another reason that business owners should seek to get certifications or be certified is you can work with larger primes or larger contractors by having that designation. it gives you a more competitive advantage in your business model. It also helps establish some credibility in that sector when you gain these different certifications. Today, we're going to talk about actually 7 different certifications. 4 of them will be related to the county and the city, and 3 of them will be related to the state. So let's dive right in. The first certification I want to talk about is the JSEP program. JSEP is the Jacksonville Small and Emerging Business, and it's designed to create opportunities here in the city that leads to economic growth. And I can tell you, JSEP is an excellent City of Jacksonville program that's designed to help minority business owners and socially disadvantaged economic business owners to gain contracts here within the city. Some of the requirements is with this particular certification is that you do have to reside here in Duval County for at least 12 months. Your headquarters has to be in Duval County for at least 3 years. Okay. Your personal net worth less than 1.3 million. Gross receipts cannot exceed 12 million, and the qualifying owner has to be obviously 51% owner. And you'll notice the 51% ownership is going to be pretty standard throughout all of the certifications that we're going to talk about today. Your business also have to be a for-profit business for the JSEP program. So if you are a nonprofit, it will not apply to nonprofits. You have to be a for-profit entity. One of the distinctions with the Jacksonville Small Emerging Business certification is to think of it in this way. Any agency that starts with the word Jacksonville probably or most likely or highly probable that they are affiliated with the JSEP or have an element of JSEP opportunities within it. So for an example, the Jacksonville Electric Authority, if you want to contract with them, having this JSEP certification will be very helpful for you. If you want to do something with the JAXPort, JPA, that is a JSEP is a program that you want to be a part of. If you want to do business with the Jacksonville Aviation Agency, that JSEP is a great program, JTA. So anything that's starting with the acronym of Jacksonville or has Jacksonville in it, JSEP is probably a part of it. But keep in mind, this certification, your headquarters have to be in Duval County, and you have to have been here for at least 3 years. And that's usually the part that is a disqualifier for a lot of people that seek this certification. Another good thing about the JSEP is they provide education as well. So when you're part of the program, you'll notice they'll have different educational items for business owners with this program. So if you're looking to do business with the City of Jacksonville and you've been in business for at least 3 years, I highly recommend looking at JSEP. And you'll notice in this presentation, I have a link here, and I believe at the end of it, you'll get a copy of this presentation, and you can simply click this link and it'll take you to all the certifying information. The next certification for Jacksonville is the DBE program, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. And this program is also designed for socially and economically disadvantaged business owners. And as I said earlier, you'll see a common theme that 51% of your business have to relate to the person that is certifying or the certifying owner. Generally on a disadvantaged business enterprise, the DBE, 51% has to be minority ownership. The personal net worth less than 1.3 million. Gross receipts has to be less than 26 million in a 5-year period. Here's some advantages of DBE, and I'm going to talk about this one for a little bit. And this is a certification that I myself obtained also when I was in the private sector. The DBE, that your business name will appear in the state of Florida DBE directory once you receive this certification. And other state departments, local governments, contractors, even the public have access to see your business listed in the DBE directory. One of the places to apply for this program is the link that you see here through JTA, which is the Jacksonville Transportation Authority. once you are certified there and you fill out the application information, they are pretty quick about getting you approved for this program if you qualify. Once you put your application in, a rep will contact you. They will go through things with you and be sure that you have access to this opportunity. You'll also receive emails for opportunities that you have certified for, that you put your NACE codes in their platform for. So you'll be able to make some great contacts here. More importantly, and I should say not more importantly, but as an addition here, the Florida Department of Transportation also go to the same directory to look for qualified DBEs. When I was a business owner and I received the DBE designation, the way that I leveraged it is I would go to the JTA platform and look at all of the opportunities that was available. And I can tell you, I did find some lucrative opportunities that I was able to take advantage of, and it significantly enhanced my business. So this is a very great path if you are qualified for the DBE program in order to enhance a revenue model in your business. Another one another agency that uses DBE quite frequently as well here in the county is Duval County Public Schools. So you will find that would be a vantage point for your business with DCPS as well, with having the DBE certification. One of the newer programs is the Local Small Business Enterprise. This is a JTA program that's fairly new. It is actually less than a year old. They just launched this particular program December 2020. So yes, it's very new. It's only been out for about 7 months. I really love this program, this local program with the city, because it allows small businesses to compete on a very small level. Oftentimes when I'm speaking to business owners, sometimes I hear, hey, I'm not in a position to necessarily do a $1 million contract or a $5 million contract. I want to start small. I want to be able to do something, that's maybe 100,000 or less, in a subcontract basis or on a micro level until I can grow the infrastructure or capacity to compete in a larger market. This is a great route to go if you're looking to do that, to build really, really small. And you can see some of the qualifications here. Independently owned and operated for-profit business. So again, you cannot be a nonprofit and get the certification. You have to be for-profit. Your 5-year average gross receipts has to be $15 million or below. And the business has to be headquartered in the surrounding counties, Duval, Clay, Baker, Nassau, and St. John's. All right, so you do have to be headquartered in one of these counties to take advantage of this program. The majority owner personal net worth cannot exceed 1.3 million. And again, there's a link to this program if you're interested in it. I can tell you it is a great stepping stone to get your business known in the procurement network, especially here locally with the counties, Baker, Clay, and Duval, and Nassau, and St. John's. It's a great way to start with those micro contracts and then build up from there. Within the same program, there is another certification called Micro Local Small Business Enterprise, which is even more granular. These contracts are usually less than $30,000 in nature, but these are great contracts to start with to get some of the county and local and city past performance and build those relationships. And also, if you're a small business and you want to get that cash flow moving in the government sector, this would be a great way to do it. Both of these programs you can find at the link here at the bottom. It is also a new program. It's only 7 months old, but I can tell you it's been very effective and exciting. Both of these programs are through the Jacksonville Transportation Authority. Okay, so I'm going to move on into some of the state certifications. So on the state certification side, one of the ones that that's really popular is the Minority Business Enterprise Certification, the MBE. And these are some of the basic requirements for the MBE. And I won't go through every one of these because I know you're going to get the PowerPoint, but one of the things I want to point out is that if you are a minority-owned business, be sure that you have 51% ownership. If you don't, that's a disqualifier. Another prerequisite is you want to be registered in the My Florida Place website, My Florida Marketplace website, when you apply for this certification. This certification can be obtained through the OSD, which is the Office of Supplier Diversity, at the Department of Management Services website. I want to talk about why this is a great certification and how to use it, because there's a lot of misconceptions out there when it comes to obtaining the MBE. And one of the things I want to share, because I was a recipient of the MBE, and I was actually able to obtain a sizable contract when I was in the private sector because of the MBE. And so one of the things I want to say is when I received or decided to go after the MBE certification, I put together a business strategic plan of how I would maximize the MBE before I got it. And one of the things that I did, and I wanted to share this nugget with you guys, is I created a list of the agencies and companies that were looking for MBE specific partners for my service. And at that time, I had a commercial cleaning business. I was able to successfully land a pretty sizable contract on a joint venture basis because of this MBE certification. And so, guys, the point that I'm driving here is you want to make sure that you work with myself or Marie or a PTAC counselor in your area or a counselor somewhere or a mentor, and position yourself with a strategy on how you're going to use the certification when you get it. You also have to renew the certification every 2 years. So keep that in mind. Every 2 years, you do have to recertify your MBE. All right, WBE, Women Business Enterprise, for all of my women-owned businesses out there. This is a certification to have if you are a woman-owned business with 51% ownership. You'll notice that all of the qualifications are the same. It is also completed through the OSD website that you see here. You can simply click the link and it will take you to the certifying areas. The good thing about the MBE and the WBE is that your information will be listed in a certified business enterprise vendor directory. Now, that directory is very important because a lot of agencies refer to the WBE directory and the MBE directory to see what organizations have this designation, so that way they can do business with you potentially. So this is a powerful certification to have. Just MBE, again, you want to develop a strategy and a plan on how you're going to use it. You want to have a capacity plan on being able to your capacity of contracts and so I highly advise if you're a woman-owned business to get the certification strategy on use throughout the state. Great partnerships exist with the nation, and getting this particular WBE and being listed in this directory allows agencies off the state to know that you have the certification to possibly do business with you.
You lost you, Greg. Oh, hey, Greg, it looks like you're muted. Sorry to interrupt, guys. Can you hear me, Greg? Stand by, folks. Technical difficulties. Greg seems to be muted somehow. Turned and came back. It looks like your audio is still muted, Greg. Don't know what happened, folks. Stand by. Sorry about that. No, okay. Okay, Marie, we're going to go ahead and have you take over. I'm going to make you the presenter.
Okay,
And look for that dialog box.
I see the
Share
dialogue.
screen. Sorry about that, folks. There we go.
Okay.
That was Greg's last slide. So if there's any questions about the women-owned.
Can you guys hear me now?
Oh,
We can hear
of
you
course.
now.
All right, you guys can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I guess the thing, I'll go ahead and finish up if you guys can hear me. All right. I'm gonna change it back. I can't hear you guys, so I am gonna just change it back and I'll continue and then turn it back to Marie. So let me see if I can get back on it. Can you see my screen?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. All right, so if everyone can see my screen, technical difficulties, thank you for bearing with me. So I was talking about the Veteran Business Enterprise. Veteran Business Enterprise is a great certification to have as well. I've also obtained this particular certification. Again, as the other previous certifications, you do want to make sure you have a strategy. I can say all of my veterans out there, I am a military veteran as well, Army veteran. So all of my veterans out there are opportunities for us out there, okay, for all my veteran business owners. One of the things that I can say about the VBE is that you do want to have your DD-214. They will ask you for the DD-214. There is a separate veteran application that's accompanied with this certification. So you just want to make sure you have all of your military record type information available. There are set-asides for VBEs and for veterans. So just make sure, again, that you have a strategy when it comes to using this particular certification. And let me see here.
Okay.
So my screen is actually not allowing me to advance. So let's see. There we go. 2 more slides. So very last slide here, last 2 slides. This is the actual checklist that you would see on the DMS site when you guys apply for the Veteran Business Enterprise, Women Business Enterprise, or the Minority Business Enterprise. As you can see, the eligibility requirements are very simple, but if you look at the bottom here where it says step 1, 2, and 3, you do want to make sure for all of these certifications you register at myfloridamarketplace.com first, and then you want to go through the actual checklist, and then you would mail or scan the documents to OSD to complete it. This is the documentation checklist for all 3 of those state certifications that we went over today. You'll notice that the required documents are very simple, from A through G. Most of these only require one of the boxes that you see. Some of them may require both, but it's a very simple process. And so if you complete all of these different areas and simply scan them and email them to OSD, you will find that the certification process is not that lengthy for the state as well as the city certifications. So it may differ, it's definitely going to differ on the federal side, but the city and the state certifications are fairly quick to obtain. So without further ado, I'm going to stop here, transition this over to Marie. Thank you all for bearing with me on the technical difficulties there.
Okay, and everybody can see the screen okay? All right.
Yep.
We're gonna rock and roll. Good morning, everyone. My name is Marie Mishker, and I'm the PTAC specialist here at UNF. And I'm also new to the area. So in the questionnaire, you can always put your favorite beach in the state of Florida. If you're from Georgia, where I can get Georgia peaches would be amazing. So I'm doing a lot of exploring. I come from the Department of Energy National Laboratory System. So I moved from Albuquerque, New Mexico, here to the state of Florida. So my background is as a prime large M&O contractor, as well as federal government background with regards to procurement and small business. I was the lead supplier diversity advocate at Sandia National Laboratories. So to kick off, we're going to talk about the federal contracting certifications that we have available to us. So a quick overview. Why do they even exist? We're going to kind of give you a little bit of a background with regards to the 8A competitive and sole source contracting opportunities for all of the certifications, the 8A, the HUBZone, the woman, and the service disabled veteran, as well as the qualifications that you need. I'm a firm believer in teaching you how to fish, so I'm going to give you some websites and also references with respect to where to go to really dive deep when it comes to the certifications. So why do we even have these small business certifications? Well, because federal law mandates it, and the federal government prefers to contract with small businesses whenever possible. Key things that you need to be aware of is that the federal government does have goaling requirements when it comes to small business certifications. You'll see here that the feds have 23% of their procurements need to be set aside for small businesses. Women, SDVs, small disadvantaged businesses, have 5% goals, and hub zones and service disabled veterans have 3%. The thing that you need to also keep in mind is that the large primes like Lockheed, Boeing, Honeywell, Northrop Grumman, if they have federal contracts that they are awarded, they have what they call a small business subcontracting plan that they have with that federal agency. They negotiate small business goals for all of the socioeconomic categories with their federal contracting officer. They, in most cases, are larger than the federal standards. So something to keep in mind when you're looking at obtaining the certifications. The contracting officials can use either a set-aside, a competitive set-aside process, or a direct sole source to the socioeconomic categories that I just outlined. And they also go to the dynamic small business search to find you. And so those of you who have already met with me, you know how I'm really focusing in on NAICS codes and the dynamic small business search. And so kind of a little teaser, next month, I'm going to have a training session on how to identify NAICS codes and also how to enhance your dynamic small business search profile. Again, because this is where contracting officials come to find you, and also where the large primes also go to find you. So now let's get into the 8A competitive and sole source category. You'll see at the very top of the page, I've listed the CFR and the FAR regulations. If you're looking at 8A certification, I would recommend that you become familiar with the FAR regulations and also the CFAR regulations. So with a competitive set aside, it's just that, right? It's a competitive set aside for the classification of 8As. And the expectation of the contracting officer is that there's at least 2 of you out there that will be able to submit offers at a fair market price. Now, the award options cannot exceed $7 million for manufacturing or $4 million for other social or other NAICS codes. They also have a sole source option. They can determine if a supplier is qualified and responsible to do the contracting work. They can set aside the contract. Also, the contract needs, the contracting officer has to determine that the contract will be awarded at a fair market value, at a fair market price. And again, the contract would not exceed $7 million for manufacturing or $4 million for all other requirements. So the qualifications, you must be a small business, and that would be you must qualify as a small business, and you must not have previously participated in the 8A program. So once you've gone through the program, that's it. So that's why it's very important to strategically think about your certifications. Just as Greg had mentioned with regards to the local and the state programs, it's the same with the federal. You really need to strategize about which program is best for you and when to enter into that program. The 8A program is only good for 9 years. And remember, you cannot have previously participated as an 8A. You must be at least 51% owned and controlled by a US citizen, and you're socially and economically disadvantaged. Have a personal net worth of $750K or less and an adjusted gross income of $350K and $6 million or less in assets. And you must demonstrate good character and a potential to perform on contracts. This link right here will take you to the Code of Federal Regulations, which really gets into all of the unique details around the 8A program. And you can actually go to SBA's website, and this will be hyperlinked when you get the copy of the presentation, and you can actually kind of do a pre-assessment. Am I qualified or am I not qualified to actually participate in this program? You cannot bid or participate in any 8A set-aside contracting opportunities until you are certified. That's important to note. To apply for the program, you're going to go to the Certify SBA website. You need to have a profile in sam.gov, and also I would recommend referring to the Certify Knowledge Base for tips and helpful resources. Again, going back, the program is for 9 years. The first 4 years, strongly developmental in nature. The last portion of the 9-year span is where you're really performing and you're demonstrating, your contractual expansion with regards to dollars. And so you'll need to complete annual reviews with this program. and maintain good standing within the program. So there are reporting requirements that you do need to follow. The HUBZone. HUBZone category is probably the most difficult certification of the categories we'll be talking about to obtain and maintain. It is also the socioeconomic category that federal contracting officers and large prime contractors are always looking for. So it's a double-edged sword with regards to HUBZone certification. The HUBZone, again, you'll notice the 13 CFR 126 and FAR 19.13 for all of the federal regulations and guidance around this particular program. So here there are two types of competitive and sole sources, or types of contract mechanisms in place. Competitive set-aside, sole sources. Again, the expectation with a competitive set-aside is there's at least 2 HUBZones who can submit offers at a fair market price. And also the contracting officer, they can actually create set-asides for specific orders within a multi-award contract that can be awarded through a full and open competition. Sole sources, the buyer doesn't have any reasonable expectation that they can find 2 or more HUBZone companies. If they find a HUBZone, one HUBZone that can do the work, they need to make sure that the small business is responsible, is providing the product or service at a fair market price. Again, the contract value cannot exceed $7.5 million for manufacturing or $4 million for all other requirements. For a full and open, you can be awarded with a price evaluation preference. Again, this is the feds, not the large primes. Again, this would tie to FAR regulations with this particular bullet point. A price evaluation for HUBZone small businesses, and they can be considered lower than the offer of a non-HUBZone small business, but that differential cannot exceed 10%. Again, with HUBZones, you need to be a small business and at least 51% owned and controlled by U.S. citizens. Here, there's also a few other little nuances. A community development corporation, an agricultural cooperative, an Alaskan Native corporation, or Native Hawaiian or Indian tribe also would qualify for the HUBZone program. The principal location of the HUBZone, principal location of the business must be located within a HUBZone, and at least 35% of the company's employees must live in a HUBZone. For the full criteria with regards to the HUBZone program, I highly recommend, again, going to the Code of Federal Regulations and review the Title 13, Part 126 for all of the programmatic requirements. You can also get a pre-assessment done at the SBA's certified website. And before you participate in a HUBZone set-aside contracting proposal, you must already have your certification. So to review the top tips for HUBZone, this is a hyperlink for the tip sheet that the SBA provides. Again, you need to make sure that you're registered in SAM.gov and you have also registered in the general login system account. To apply for HUBZone certification using the general login system, you need to do that, and you have to submit supporting documentation. In all of the certifications that we're discussing, I would highly recommend going through the tip sheets. I would highly recommend doing the pre-certified websites and look at all the documentation that you need in order to apply for the program and also in order to maintain your status within that particular program. In all of the programs, I know HUBZone calls it out here, you need to be able to respond to the request for additional information in a very timely manner. If you don't, you could lose the possibility of getting that certification. So it's important when the SBA reaches out to you to be very responsive with regards to their request for additional information. We're now moving into the women-owned small business category. And here for the women-owned, that they have competitive and sole source. Again, the federal regulations can be found for this particular program at 13 CFR 127 and FAR 19.15. Note, not all NAICS codes are authorized under the WOSV federal contracting program. The SBA maintains the list of qualified NAICS codes for both the Women-Owned Small Business Program and the Economically Disadvantaged Women-Owned Small Business Program. I lovingly call them the WOSVs and the ED-WOSVs. So going forward, that's kind of easier to say than me spelling it all out all the time. So here for the program, there are two. From a contracting standpoint, you have competitive set aside and a sole source set aside. With the competitive, again, the contracting official has the expectation that at least two responsible women-owned or economically disadvantaged women-owned small businesses will submit offers, and that the contract will be awarded at a fair market price. Sole sources, again, the contracting officer does not have a reasonable expectation that they will find two or more WOSVs or ED-WOSVs, and that they have determined that that direct sole source is qualified to do the work, and they are offering a fair market price value to the contracting officer. Here, the price for the set-asides or the competitive or sole source cannot exceed $6.5 million for manufacturing or $4 million for all other categories. Now, when we look at the women-owned small business requirements, we see, again, you need to be a small business. The 51% of the company needs to be owned and controlled by women who are US citizens. The women have to manage the day-to-day operations and make long-term decisions. This is a fallout, I'll call this out, this is a fallout from the early days of the women-owned small business program. Because what was happening in the early days of the program is that the women-owned small businesses were almost a front. So males were either running the business and the woman was a figurehead. And so the federal law, the feds came in and they reestablished guidelines, and now there needs to be shown actual proof that the woman is managing the day-to-day operations and making the long-term decisions for the company that she is running. So just to be aware of that. To qualify as an ED-WOSV within the program, it must meet all the requirements of the WOSV program, and it also must be owned and controlled by one or more women, each with a personal net worth of less than 750K, 350K or less in adjusted gross income average over the previous 3 years, and no more than 6 million or less in personal assets. For all of the guidelines, again, I've provided the hyperlink. If you're interested in this particular program, I highly encourage you to go to the CFR to read the guidelines around that program. And here again, the SBA has done a marvelous job where you can go ahead and you can do a preliminary assessment by going to the Beta Certify SBA link. And before competing for any type of a WOSV or ED-WOSV certification, you need to have, or excuse me, the WOSV or ED-WOSV contract or set-aside contract competition, you need to have that certification in place. For all of these, you need to have the certification already in place before you go ahead and apply for those particular set-asides. You can go ahead on betacertifysva.gov, or you could go through a third-party certifier to obtain your certification. More information and a fact sheet can be found at the betacertifysva.gov. You need to make sure that you update your certification information both in the DSBS, Dynamic Small Business Search, and Beta Certify SBA once a year to maintain your status. So again, these are the requirements, reporting requirements, and qualifications to maintain. As of October 15th of 2020, the previous self-certifications in the old system platform are no longer available, and you must go ahead and do the official certification process through the SBA's betacertify.sba.gov. The last category that we're going to talk about are the service disabled veteran-owned certifications and set-asides. The regulations for this particular group can be found at 13 CFR 125 and FAR 19.14. Here, as in other categories, they have both a competitive set-aside and a sole source award with regards to contracts. Again, with a competitive set-aside, the contracting officer has the expectation that there's going to be at least 2 responsible service-disabled veterans who will submit offers, and that the contract would be awarded at a fair market price. Again, with regards to a sole source, the contracting officer does not have a reasonable expectation that 2 or more service-disabled veterans would submit offers. However, they have determined that the company is a qualified small business who can perform responsibly, and that the contract is awarded at a fair market price. Here, the contractual requirement is a sole source cannot exceed 6.5 million for manufacturing or 4 million for all other requirements. The SDVOSV program qualifications. This, I want everybody's ears to kind of pick up here, because I know that there are a lot of service disabled veterans who are listening. The thing to keep in mind is that presently there are 2 programs, if you want to call them certifications, that are going on right now. One is through the SBA, and one is through the VA, Victor Alpha, the VA. This program that I'm talking about right now is the Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business Program Qualifications that the SBA is offering. You must be a small business, at least 51% owned and controlled by 1 or more service disabled veterans, and have 1 or more service disabled veterans manage the day-to-day operations and also make long-term decisions. Eligible veterans must have a service-connected disability, and you can review the full eligibility requirements here at the FAR regulations, the 13.125 subpart B. You self-represent your business to the federal government as being owned by a service-disabled veteran. All you do is you update your socioeconomic status section of your business profile in sam.gov. I'm going to throw a caveat out here. You need to make sure that you do have proof of your service-connected disabilities. A federal contracting officer can request to see such documentation if they ask for it. So just calling that out. But this holds true for any Fed agency except, and I'm except the VA. The VA has a separate process where they go ahead and ask service-disabled veterans to go through the Vets First verification program. If you are looking at performing, you're a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business, and you are looking at obtaining contracts through the VA, you need to obtain the Vet First certification. And that's the cluster. That's the beautiful cluster that you see for the veteran-owned small businesses and the service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses. And so the hyperlink here will take you to the page that also gives you the requirements and also lists the documentation that you need in order to obtain that certification. Now, Marie's going to throw in one last little caveat for my vets out there. There has been recent legislation that has been passed where probably within the next couple years, the certification that is presently being done by the VA is going to be transferred to the SBA. So the SBA is going to have the overarching responsibility of certifying, doing the SDVOSV certifications for the veteran companies. The VA will still be doing the disability certification, but they will not be doing the small business, small disadvantaged veteran-owned small business certification. I'm hoping that that makes sense. So that, again, the legislation has just recently been passed, and things are going to be transitioning over in the near future. So keep in mind, I kind of gave you the fire hose treatment here with all of these qualifications, and your head is spinning with what Greg has also talked about from the state and the city county focus. The key takeaways are to strategically think about what marketplace you want to work in first. And then based on what marketplace, whether it be city, county, state, or federal, how can you leverage those certifications to your advantagement to obtain contracts, whether they're city contracts, county, state, or federal contracts. When it comes to a federal perspective, the Fed's goal is to meet those socioeconomic goaling requirements established. And so they're looking at, oh, I may be shy in my veteran category, so I'm going to try to see if there are qualified service-disabled veteran companies, or I am shy of my HUBZone goal or my woman-owned goal, or I need 8 A's because I need my small disadvantage category to increase. So it's important to really look at the strategy of how the contracting officers are using the different set-asides, but then also, where is your best fit as a company? Where is it that you are going to be able to fulfill the passion of the work that you have, that your company has, and which agency, either federal, county, state, city, is going to be able to lead you down that path. And so that's where Greg and I come into play, is we will also help strategy. And Allie, I know you're out there a voice. Maybe this is another topic that we offer, is strategizing, how to strategize entering into the federal marketplace. If there is interest, you guys can put that in the little survey. And so also additional topics. I know Greg and I are very interested in knowing, what kind of topics are of interest to you. This is my contact information, our general number here, and this is where we live. And I'm also going to throw out, I threw out one tickler with NAICS and Dynamic Small Business Search is the next topic for the month of August. And in September, we are actually going to have a live and in-person event here at the University of North Florida at the University Center. So hopefully you all will be able to make that. I'm not going to tell you the date yet. So but for those of you who know all about PTAC, it's on the PTAC day in September. So with that, I think, Allie, we are now open for questions.
Yes, awesome. Thank you. Whoop, somebody. There we go. All right, great information. I know there's a lot of info that was covered today. But we do have a couple of questions that are already in here to get the ball rolling. What if you are a previous dependent of a veteran, like a child of a veteran? I don't know who that is geared towards, maybe Greg or anyone. Oh, Greg, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yep, there you go.
Okay.
Oh.
So can you repeat that question for me?
Oh, sorry, Greg, you might want to mute your laptop, not your phone, because there's an echo. No, I can still hear the echo. Sorry, guys. Yeah, is your laptop? Oh, is that better? Can you? Okay. I don't hear my echo anymore. All right. The question was, what if you are a previous dependent of a veteran, like a child of a vet? Oh,
Is there still an echo?
I think you're good.
Okay. So if you are a child of a vet, then you can still apply for the certifications. But if you're talking specifically about the VBE, the Veteran Business Enterprise, you must have a DD 214 in order to get that particular state certification.
Okay, awesome. The next question is, I only have 3 employees in my business. Is my business too small to apply for an 8A program?
No, it would not be, but I would ask, how long you've been in business, the past performance. And so keep in mind that the 8A is a developmental program that offers, through the set-asides, that offers competitive advantages because of the set-asides for the 8As, the purpose to grow the company. And so there are several factors to look at. If you're a brand new startup, I would not recommend entering into the 8A program. The normal recommendation is that you are in business for at least a couple years prior for going into the 8A or applying for the 8A certification. And so the thing to keep in mind, I guess, Allie, if this person were in front, if we were having a counseling session, that's the amazing feature of the programs that Greg has talked about. If it's a micro company and, they're starting, you have the city of Jacksonville, you have these counties that have these programs for small disadvantaged businesses where they can start to grow and expand and build capacity. And then at the same time, working with a PTAC counselor to strategize, okay, how do I take this and expand into the federal market? Neither Fed nor PTAC or small business advocate or supplier diversity advocate ever wants to see a company fail. We all have this huge passion. I can't stress enough the huge passion that every, federal contracting officer at an M&O level, a federale level, and all of the supplier diversity advocates and small business advocates I know, we want small businesses to succeed. I've been in this realm for 17 years, and we all have this same level of passion. We want companies to grow and succeed because we know the impact it has on the economy and on, the value to the United States. And so, we may really get real with you, as to why do you want this certification? The worst thing is to think that a certification is going to get you a contract. It is not a guarantee of a contract. It is a strategic sourcing mechanism that you can use in leveraging your status for the ability to give yourself advantagements in that particular contracting realm. I'm hoping that that makes sense.
Thank you. There was one other question. Could you expand briefly on what HUBZone is?
Oh, a HUBZone is a historically underutilized business zone. And those are either extremely, and those are determined by the census tract, by the Department of Census. And when you go to the SBA's website and you go under the contracting, the contracting drop down, you'll see that there's the HUBZone program. And they actually have a link where you can type in your address and it'll show you where if your company or if your house is in a HUBZone or not a HUBZone. And so the purpose around the HUBZone program is the development of either extremely rural or extremely urban areas within the United States. And so when I mentioned about the tribes and the Alaskan Native corporations and the Hawaiian Natives, the reservations and the Alaskan Native tribes automatically qualify as a HUBZone because of the areas in which they reside. And so the purpose of the program is to instill economic development and to enable employment opportunities for the people who live within a HUBZone or for the business that resides in the HUBZone. It is also the only set-aside program that is not affiliated with, a socioeconomic, I'll say a minority category or a veteran. So anyone, as long as the primary location of the business and the people 35% plus reside in a HUBZone, so it's not associated with any kind of other status. But it's very much needed, especially in urban and rural areas, and it's also the most difficult to maintain.
Awesome. Thank you. And I did have, no, wait, no, that was it actually, just a thank you. Excellent presentation. Yeah, I think that's it on questions, folks. I'll give you guys just a couple more seconds. If there's any last minute questions that you want to type in, now is your chance. As we've all mentioned, when we close this webinar this afternoon, there's going to be a survey pop up. Let us know your thoughts, topic suggestions, time frame, all that, all the questions. If you could just take a minute and answer those, it would really be helpful to us, especially with our new procurement specialist, Marie, and we're trying to plan out the trainings for the rest of the year. Your input as the clients is vital to us. So No more questions have come in. Greg and Marie, I think with that, we will go ahead and sign off. Thank you guys both for fabulous presentations. Thank you everybody for attending, and be on the lookout for updates on the next class. And we'll see you guys at the next one. Thanks everybody.
Bye.
Bye.